Good morning, PS 17. Happy wonderful Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. Everybody could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're standing tall, we're facing our flag, hands are placed over our hearts. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for our school mission statement. We are here to be literate, innovative, and proficient scholars who will participate in rich academic learning in a nurturing environment where we will rise. This will be accomplished by creating collaborative and supportive teaching and learning systems involving the entire PS 17 community. Family, I am so impressed. I'm going to talk about the literate and proficient part of our mission statement. I've been so impressed watching your video submissions of you reading our kindergarten and first and second graders. We know that you've been moving up in reading levels as well. So impressed. And I'm so impressed with the readers' notebooks and the writer's notebooks in fourth and fifth grade that I've been seeing online. You are doing such great inferencing work, even though you're on the computer at home. And I'm not surprised. You were doing that already when we were at the building, but I'm just so impressed with everybody's ability to keep the instruction going at home. And I really want to give everybody a thumbs up. You're doing a great, great job. Okay, we are reading The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read. Remember, we learned from the author's note that this is a historical fiction book. So it's a story, it's fiction, but it's based on fact, and it's based on Miss Walker's life. She lived to be 121 years old, if you remember that. She was born at a time when this country still had slavery, which was a horrible time. So she was born at a time when there was slavery. She experienced emancipation, which is when slavery ended. But remember, there was still a lot of struggles that she was going through because just because slavery ended in this country, African Americans still had a very hard time. And we're now at the point in the story where she had one baby, remember, and she just marked, because she couldn't write yet, and she just marked in the book that she received, the Bible that she received, just put a mark letting her know that that was her son's birthday. So we're going to keep reading. And remember, we're collecting evidence for the type of person we think Mary is. We've already named out that she's probably a hard worker. She's pretty resilient. She's faced a lot of challenges, but she keeps pushing forward. And so let's keep reading. So we're going to learn here that her husband, she had a baby in 1869 with her husband. And we're going to learn here something sad happens again, right? So her life has not been easy. So we're collecting evidence. Her husband passes away here. So I'm just letting you know that, okay? One day, Mary's husband passed away. She got married again, and a second son was born. Then a third. Mary made marks in her Bible for those sons too. Now she had 3 growing boys. More money, that's what we need, Mary thought. But the only other jobs at that time available to African American women were as maids or nannies or cooks. And the hours were very long, with only half a day off on Saturdays. And like sharecropping, they didn't pay much. Mary sighed. Words would have to wait. So it's like she's putting off what she really wants to do, which is learning to read, to take care of her family. Think about the type of person that takes. For the next 4 decades, so 1 decade is 10 years. So if there's 4 decades, 10, 10, 10, 10, 4 decades, 10, 10, 10, 10 is 40 years. So for the next 4 decades or 40 years, Mary sharecropped and did odd jobs to help support her family. In 1917, Mary's family moved to the little city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was the year of Chattanooga's Great Flood. The story was in all the newspapers, but Mary could only study the pictures to understand what had happened. So I guess to the town that she moved in, there was a big flood. By now, Mary was 68 and too old to sharecrop. but she continued to work cooking, cleaning, and babysitting. She also fried fish, baked cakes, and sold sandwiches to raise money for her church. On Sundays, she would sit in the congregation, and as the preacher spoke, she would clutch her family Bible, the Bible she still couldn't read. When Mary was well past 90, she and her husband sat in their creaky rockers while one or another of their sons read to them. After the two younger boys died, the eldest read. Then Mary's husband passed away. Several years later, her eldest son passed away too. He was 94. Wow. So Miss Walker outlived all of her children. Her last son passed away when he was 94, and she outlived him. That to me is an incredible life. Let's keep reading. Mary had outlived her entire family. She was 114 years old and alone. I can't read, she said. I can't write. I don't know anything, which is not true. She knew a lot of things, but really what she wanted to do was really read and really write. Mary stood at the window of her retirement home and gazed down at the world below. Words were everywhere, on billboards, on buildings, on store windows and trucks. She sighed. All this time, she thought, and they still look like little squiggles. So I'm going to stop here today, and I want to leave you with thinking about something. We've learned a lot about Miss Walker, okay? We've learned a lot about her life. Hasn't always been easy. She had a lot of love in her life, okay? She had a lot of love in her life. She had a wonderful family. She had her religious family, her church family, right? Things were not always easy. She had to work very hard at a time when, and this is sort of reminding me of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg book. If you remember when we read that book, Ruth was growing up at a time where there was discrimination against people of her religion. Remember, she was Jewish. Miss Walker grew up at a time where there was discrimination against African Americans and rules that made it very hard for African Americans and the situations. And so now she's 114 years old. And so I'm going to leave you with this image today of Miss Walker looking out the window of her retirement home. And the thought that she had was, I really want to learn to read. And I want you to think about what's going to happen. Make a prediction about what's going to happen. And then I also want you to keep thinking about what type of person is Miss Walker and why do you think that? Remember, we're looking for that evidence. Okay, PS17, I'm looking forward to finishing our text tomorrow. We wish you a wonderful day. And as always, say it with me, we love you.